All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Math Videos with Mitch. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to be talking about how to do some stuff that's going to be on your test on Friday. Here we go. For number one, I don't know, easy money, right? Negative 4 to the fourth just means negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 a bunch of times, right? And you can use a calculator or whatever, so it's fine. When I multiply 4 negatives is a positive, and 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 is 256. Okay, the way I would do this one, you guys remember when there's a negative exponent, it means that you can flip your fraction around. So instead of 2 over 5, it's 5 over 2. And now it's to the positive third, okay? Well, I can just say that's the same as 5 to the third on top, 2 to the third on bottom. So 5 to the third is 125, and 2 to the third is 8. Okay? Here's some other stuff we did in the exponent rule. So it says simplify each expression. And then this is important right here. Final answers must contain only positive exponents. Okay? Okay, so this first one, we can do both of them to the negative 4 power. Remember, when you raise to a power, you're multiplying. So x squared to the negative 4 would be x to the negative 8. Y to the negative third to the negative 4 would be y to the positive 12. And then what happens is anything with a negative exponent, right? Oh, that's crazy. Okay, there we go. Anything with a negative exponent gets moved down to the bottom. So I'm going to leave y to the 12th on top, x to the 8th on the bottom. Okay? Okay, awesome. Okay, with this next one, I feel like I want to do the number separate from the other parts, okay? Well, 3 to the negative 3, we know that this is 1 over 3 to the 3, which is going to be 1 over 27, okay? So right now, I have a 1 over 27, all right? Now, when I do this next part, a to the 5th to the negative 3, when I multiply that, it's a to the negative 15, and then when I do b to the negative 7 to the negative 3 is b to the positive 21. And again, just remember, anything with a negative exponent needs to get moved down. So I'll actually write this as 27 a to the 15th on the bottom, and b to the 21 is on the top. Okay, nice. All right. When you're dividing, we will start by just reducing that, okay? And if 18 doesn't go into 32 or whatever, just say what goes into both. They're both even numbers. So 2 goes into 18 9 times, 2 goes into 32 6 times, and I don't think that reduces down anymore, so that's going to be 9 over 16. Okay, now the way that the next part works, okay, when I'm dividing, I'm going to subtract the exponents. And 11 minus 7 is 4. So that will go on top. All right? Okay, now when I'm dividing this one and I subtract the exponents, so I go negative 4 minus 9. Okay, so that is negative 13. Now we can put n to the negative 13, but again, because we want to write it all in positive exponents, we're going to move it down here, n to the 13. Okay? And then, okay, this last one. This is pretty tricky, but again, I think I'm just going to do the numbers separate from the letters. I really think that's going to be the best way to go. So for my numbers, right, 3 over 2 to the negative 2 is the same as 2 over 3 to the positive 2, which is 4 over 9. Okay? 4, 9. Okay, so, sorry, I had to change something. All right, now, when I raise these all up to powers, this becomes p to the 6th, okay, negative times negative 2, q to the 2nd, p to the negative 4, q to the 12. All right? And now for my final answer, I can subtract these. Okay, now if we're doing, let's see, 6 minus negative 4, that's positive 10. So I'm going to put that up here as p to the 10. And then if I'm doing 2 minus 12, that's negative 10, which means, you know, I don't want to put q to the negative 10. I'll just put it on the bottom and make it like this. Okay? That's my answer. All right, so that's our first little section. Okay, guys, for this next section, we were just doing some polynomial operations, right? So specifically like adding, subtracting, and then multiplying, and this is like more multiplying. All right. Now, the one thing you got to be really careful about, you want to remember that when you're subtracting, you need to distribute the negative to everything that comes after the subtracting sign, okay? So a negative times negative would be positive 5u, a negative times negative would be positive u squared, and a negative times 7 would be minus 7. And then that one just stays the same, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. 3u squared plus 1u squared. So when I combine those, 3 plus 1 is 4u squared. And then I'm going to go plus 5u plus 5u. So that's going to be plus 10u. And then I'm going to do minus 9 and minus 9. So I'm just combining like terms here. And that's minus 16. Okay? Same idea here, except for I have stuff to distribute on both. I'm going to distribute this. This is going to give me negative 2k to the third minus 12k. And then when I distribute this one, I get positive 12k squared minus 3k. All right. When I combine, well, k to the third, there's like nothing else to combine it with, right? Okay, and then I'm going to do the k squared, and same, nothing to combine it with. And then I'm going to do minus 12 minus 3 minus 15. Alright, so that's just kind of distributing and combining like terms. That should be fairly straightforward. Now, these ones were multiplying. Now, you guys have the decision. You can either multiply first, outside, inside, last, like that. Or we kind of talked about how you can set up a box. You know, and it just helps you kind of keep track of your steps a little bit. But one of your terms at the top, that's 3m plus 8, negative 3m plus 8. Put the other one on the side, negative 3m minus 8, and multiply these together, okay? This gives me positive 9m squared. This gives me negative 24m. This gives me positive 24m. And then this gives me negative 64. Now, when I look across, that's usually where you'll find your combined terms. And negative 24m plus 24m is going to cancel out and give me 0m. So the answer to this will just be 9m squared minus 64. Okay, and you can do it with FOIL too. I just like the box because it's a little cleaner. Now you guys, what 2 minus 5y to the third means is we take 2 minus 5y times 2 minus 5y times 2 minus 5y 3 times. And what I'm going to do is take the first two and do the box with those. Alright. Okay, so I need to do 2 minus 5y times 2 minus 5y. and I need to go ahead and fill this in. Okay, this is going to give me 2 times 2 is 4. That's negative 10y. That's negative 10y. And that's positive 25y squared. And if I combine my terms right here, I end up getting 4 minus 20y plus 25y squared. Okay. Now, I have to multiply that by one more, 2 minus 5y. Again, I'm going to do a box for that. But this time it's like a 3 by 2 box. Okay. 2 rows and 3 columns. So it's 4 minus 20y plus 25y squared, and then I do another 2 minus 5y. Okay, and I'm going to go through and fill out this box, and this is going to give me 8 minus 40y plus 50y squared, and then this is going to give me negative 20y, positive 100y squared, and negative 125y to the third. Okay? And I'm just going to write it in the order that it like showed up here. So the first thing I have is an 8. And then you guys remember, we always combine like terms along the diagonals. Well, negative 20 and negative 40 would give me negative 60y. And then I combine there. 100 plus 50 would give me 150y squared. And then my last term is minus 125y to the third. I'm not able to fit it here, so I'm going to move it down here. Okay. Minus 125y to the third. Alright. There is that section for you. Hopefully everything looks good. Okay. I'm not going to re-record. I am like super tired, so I keep making little mistakes. You guys know what that's like, so the first lesson you should learn here is get a good night's sleep before your test. Anyways, so I'm checking the answers as I go, and I'm like, knew I did something wrong. That is 12k squared. How many of you guys noticed that? And when I add, let's say when I do minus 12k squared and plus 12k squared, they cancel each other out. And it just becomes 2k to the third minus 3k. Alright? Whew. Okay. Do not do math while tired. Alright. Also, I noticed it said classify by degree and number of terms. I don't know if I'm going to remind you about that on the test to do that or whatever, but remember this is called a quadratic trinomial. This is a cubic, because this is a third. Binomial. This is a quadratic binomial. And this is to the third. This is a cubic polynomial. But I don't as much care that you know what they're called as that you know how to do it. So I'll probably tell you on your quiz. You don't have to necessarily name all of those. Okay, next section we have some factoring stuff going on here. Now what I want you guys to remember is that our steps for factoring is step 1, check for a GCF. Okay. Step 2, count the number of terms. Because that kind of tells you what type of factoring it is. Alright. If it has 2 terms, it's usually either a difference of squares or a sum or difference of cubes. If it has 3 terms, it's trinomial factoring, which is that stuff. And then if it has 4 terms, it's grouping. And then the last step is to check to see if it can factor more. And you guys, usually the factor more is another difference of squares. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to go through the steps on each of these. Alright. GCF, this one does not have one. Okay? Slash will say no GCF. This is a trinomial, so I'm going to do that then. Okay, so I go like this. And now remember, you've got all these choices. You've got 1 and 16, you've got 2 and 8, and you've got 4 and 4. Okay, and you just kind of pick one and go with it, right? I'm going to pick the wrong one first so you guys can see how to do it. Okay, and then we come over here, and the only thing that works here is 3 and 1. Well, when I test the outside and the inside, I get 4W and 12W, which is not 2W, so this is wrong. If I switch the 1 and 3, it wouldn't make a difference because of 4 and 4. So 4 and 4 does not work. So now I'm going to try 2W and 8W and 3 and 1. Okay? So when I do that, I get 2W and 24W, which does not make 2. So then I'm going to switch around the 3 and the 1. I'm going to put a 1 and a 3, and I think this is good because this is 6W, this is 8W, and to get 2, it's plus 8 minus 6, so this one's plus, this one's minus. And then that is fully factored, there's no more difference of squares or anything. Okay? Alright, perfect. For the second one, this definitely has a GCF. Let's see, 18 and 33 can divide by 3. It's up to you. I will take out the negative if it starts with a negative, but it's like up to you guys, okay? And then for a to the third and a squared, I could take out an a squared. And b to the fourth and b to the 7, I could take out a b to the fourth. Okay, negative 18 divided by negative 3 is 6. A to the third, take out a squared is a, and I took out all the b's. 33 divided by negative 3 is negative 11. I took out the a's, and I have b to the third left. And then I just check to see if this can keep going. Well, it's 2 terms. 2 terms would have to either be a difference of squares or a sum or difference of cubes, and this is neither, so that's it. Okay? Alright, next, this one has no GCF, but there's 2 terms, it's a difference of squares. Alright? And when I do this, it's k squared plus 9, k squared minus 9. Okay? Now, you want to check there's another difference of squares. There's a few of these on the factoring quiz, and like some of you guys missed going one more step. And so the way it works is the k squared plus 9 stays, but this one factors down. And this is k plus 3k. Alright? Okay, perfect. And then I'm done. Alright. Number 4, there is no GCF, but there are 3 terms. So I'm going to do this thing. That's c squared. And then multiplies to make 36, and adds or subtracts to make 5, so I'm going to use 9 and 4. Now to get negative 5, the 9 would be negative and the 4 would be positive. Okay, now they both look like squares, but remember, we can only factor a difference of squares. The sum of squares, it just has to stay there. So I take this, and I can do a difference of squares on this one. This is c plus 3, c minus 3. And then the c squared plus 4 just stays. Alright? Perfect. Okay. Let's look at number 5. There's no GCF that I can see here, like 8 and 27 don't have anything to go in the same. So, you guys remember how you do this? We go ahead and draw a line down the middle. And we do the GCF of the first 2. The only thing 8 and 36 have in common is 2 no bigger than 2, 4. I could take out a 4r squared, and I'm left with a 2r minus 9. Okay, and then on this side, 6 and 27, I can take out a 3, and I'm left with 2r minus 9. And the whole point of grouping is that you get it so that the inside parts that are left over match, and you write that one time, and then you write 4r squared plus 3. That's your answer. Oh, I checked to see if, oh, so this was 4 terms, so we felt this I checked to see if either of those can keep going, but neither of them is like perfect squares. All right. Here's our last question. Okay, this one has no GCF, and it's a difference of cubes. So let's remember how to do it. It has a small parenthesis, a big parenthesis. First you say, what to the third is 64, which is 4. And what to the third is 27x to the third, which is 3x. And then you square that, join them together. And then you guys remember this part, we do same, opposite, always positive. Well, because it starts with a minus, same, opposite, always positive. Oh, that should, I don't know what my square is, 9x squared, okay? Cool. All right, there you go. There's your factoring questions. All right, guys, last part here. We're going to go ahead and do some of these that we've been working on the last couple of days, some simplifying and multiplying complex fractions. Okay, so this first one, I want to factor it. I could take a GCF out of the top. That's 7t minus 3. And then the bottom is difference of squares. That's 3 plus p, 3 minus p. Now, if you guys remember, you actually are allowed to cross those off, but you need to put a negative somewhere because it's p minus 3 and 3 minus p, and those don't flip around unless you put a negative there. So my answer would be negative 7 over 3 plus p. You could put it in front of the 7, the negative, or you can put it like right on the side. Either way is fine. Okay? Okay, oh boy, this one is like a lot of different types of factoring. This is GCF, and then the rest of them are just like 2 parentheses factoring, right? But notice that that's a divide by, which means I have to flip these. So, okay. So let's start with this one. If I'm going to factor that, it's going to factor 2. Multiply to make 8, 4 and 2, minus 4 minus 2. Alright, if I'm going to factor this one, I'm going to do a GCF of 6. So you got 6w minus 9. Now, what I'm going to do is this, but I'm going to put it on the bottom, okay, because I'm flipping it. So 28 and 3 is w plus 7, w minus 4. Okay, and then last I'm going to do this. That's 7 and 9. To get negative 2, it's minus 9 plus 7. Okay? Now I get to go through and see what I can cross off. This is the fun part, right? W minus 9, w minus 9, w plus 7, w plus 7. W minus 4, W minus 4. Okay? And what's left is your answer. So for this, my answer, maybe I'll put it over here, is W minus 2 on the top over 6. Alright? Okay. Nice. Now, when you're combining like terms, when you're doing with fractions, add or subtract. Alright? This is like the hardest kind that we have been learning recently. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and factor this first. Now, multiplies to make 8 and adds to make 6 is plus 4 plus 2. Now look, this one has an a plus 4, this one has an a plus 4. That's great. So how do I make them have the same denominator? Well, this one needs an a plus 2, and this one needs an a plus 2. Okay? Now my denominators are the same. They're a plus 4, a plus 2. Now on the top, alright, this is actually a little annoying. because I have to multiply out a plus 5a plus 2. Now you can FOIL it, you could do the box, whatever you want, but you got to multiply that out. That gives me a squared, that gives me plus 5a, plus 2a, plus 10. Okay? And when I combine those together, it gives me a squared plus 7a plus 10. And this side is 4a minus 8. But here's the thing, guys, this is a minus. So the easiest way to deal with that is just make that negative, make that positive, and then just turn that into a plus, okay? Okay, then for my final step, I'm going to combine like terms. First I'm going to combine the a squared. There's nothing for that to combine with. Next I'm going to combine 7a minus 4a. That's going to give me 3a. And then last I'm going to combine positive 10 and positive 8, which gives me positive 18. Now at the end, you do want to check and see like if this top part will factor right here. It actually won't, because the things that make 18, even like 6 and 3, it would have to subtract to make 3, and that like doesn't work out, right? Like if I did 6 and 3 to get positive 3, it would be plus 6 minus 3, but then that gives me negative 18 by positive 18, so anyway, it doesn't factor, and that's my final answer right there. Okay? And the last thing we learned in this chapter was complex fractions. Alright, so let's talk about how complex fractions work. So first, you take the top fraction, you get a common denominator. Now, 2 and 4, 4 would be the common denominator. So to get them to match, I have to multiply the first part by 2. My denominator is 4, and then I get 2 plus x. Okay? Alright, now on this bottom one, to get them to match, I'd have to multiply this by an x, that by an x, and so that gives me a common denominator of x, and then on the top right here, this gives me x squared, right, minus 4. I write that like that. Okay? And then remember, you guys, we do keep, change, flip. So keep, I change the divide to a multiply, and I flip. Now, before I can finish this out, this is a difference of squares, and I need to factor that, and that factors to x plus 2x minus 2, okay? And now I can see what cancels out. Well, 2 plus x and x plus 2 cancel out, and so my final answer is x over 4x minus 2. Alright? Let me check it, make sure I didn't make any other dumb mistakes. Okay, perfect. There we go. So if you guys can do all that, you will do awesome on your test. Alright, great job.